Good morning. Today is the 27th of February 2024 and I'm just going to go through my trading plan and some key levels for today's session. Before we start, let's look at the economic calendar. We had a high importance news drop at 8:30, durable goods. We had a bit of a positive reaction to that, and just some other things to be wary of. We've got a Fed speaking at 5:09, so it shouldn't affect anyone. I'm in a trade at the moment, which I'll go into in a second, so I may keep an eye on that. Also, we've got consumer confidence at 10, and that could move the market, and there's nothing else really that could do anything. Okay, so starting off with today's levels, this is the MES or the ES S&P 500 index futures, currently looking at the 1 hour time frame. And I put a few extra trend lines. Let's just zoom out a bit. So I put a few extra trend lines in today. So I added this one. I'll get rid of that. So we had this trend line's been there for a few weeks, taken off the bottom from October, and when we pulled back to that pivot, I joined it up, and you can see it respected it again in February. Kind of broke through it again during February, and we've got that area as a guide. But if you clone it, this is quite interesting to do. Clone it and then drag it, you can see it's following this upward trend, upward channel, and more interestingly you can see where the channel flipped as well a bit. So here was the top end, flipped down, now it became the bottom of the channel. Potentially we could watch the same here as well, but we've not got to that yet. So I just wanted to draw that in, just give us a guide. So we now have a potential, let's just get my pen back. Pen's not working. So we now have a potential channel we can keep an eye on for the next high or the next low. Let's just open up the pen. Where was it? Okay, so ignore all the lines, it's a bit messy at the moment, but really concentrating on the last few days of price action. So what I'm really watching for is a bounce off of this area, which was the top of that trend line, and I'm looking for it to come back down and potentially see a level of support around there. It is an area of demand, big area of demand, because we've got this big, better still, let's draw it in. Let me use this one. We've got this area of demand, so let's change the colour as well. So what I'm looking at is that green candle. If I zoom in, it might be easier. So I'm kind of looking at this green candle and the next candle, the response to it. So kind of taking that area there. And then just change the colour because it's demand now, used to be support. So it kind of gives us an area we can watch for when we come back down. So I'm watching this area for a bounce. It's 50, 60, 50, 70 down to 50, 60. And it'll be a bounce off the lower end of this other channel I've just drawn in today. And again, it's funny how it works out by just cloning the lines. So I just drew in, I connected these two lower pivots together and then cloned it, and it's almost exactly on that trend. So good to see that. So kind of know that it's respecting this channel, this downward channel within this large upward channel. So kind of amplifies this area for a potential bounce as well. That's why I quite like it. Area of confidence as well. We've got tops of candles here, bottoms of candles here. So we've held this level. Volume wise, there's not much volume, but we're only looking at this section of trades. So just to confirm, I'm watching for a 50-60 to 50-67 bounce area, and that's really to continue this hourly channel, downward channel. I still quite like the long trend. We're still in an uptrend on the daily and probably even on the 4 hourly. So I'm looking for a break and retest of this channel. And I've got the pre-market high for a break and retest, which is at 50.89, 50.90 area for a break and retest. I did mention that I was in a trade, and that was basically a trend continuation of this 5-minute chart, and we saw it put in this double bottom in the pre-market, and well, yesterday's post-market, came in, put in this higher low, another higher low, and so I got in just after the 8:30, or on it was kind of, it's just before the 8:30 candle, but it's just there. That's my entry. So I'm kind of holding on to it. My stop is below here. It's only a single contract, low risk. I may just move my stop up to there. I want to give it a bit of space. I want to see it run basically, and it's just one contract, and I'm looking for an add later on. So my add will be the break and retest of the pre-market high. If we get down, I'll probably do. If it gets down to this area in the pre-market again, I'll probably just break even. But that's my trade. That's a continuation of this 5-minute trend. I just want to stay with the trend, and we can draw this line. Let's just put the line tool in, and we can probably connect these dots up to give you a general idea of where we are. It did break down through it, so I might just use that as my out, because if it comes back down, we're probably going to see it continue down. But that's it really, low risk. It's hardly anything, but I just wanted to get in early on this trend, and you can see it was an area of confidence on the 5-minute as well. Tops of candles there, kind of held that area and held it again. So yes, yesterday's low being the key area. So that's the area I'm watching for a bounce. So maybe if it gets back down to yesterday's low, we can look for another bounce. Maybe I can look for an add, but you know, my out is going to be there. Back to the hourly. So to recap levels for today, I'll just open up my trades viz because I've got it written down on there as well. So I'm watching 50.90 break and retest of the pre-market high. So 50.90, this area here, break and retest of the pre-market high. No, not that one. This area here. I'm watching 50.60 for a bounce, this area we just talked about at the low end of that channel. I'm watching 50.80 for a bounce. I'm already in that trade. That was this area here which I got in. And 50.73, if it holds, look at pre-market lows for a bounce, kind of a little bit above where we're looking, or a break and retest down into that 50.60 area. I'm looking for a bounce. That's more of a scalp. And then we've got this head and shoulders pattern that played out yesterday over the last few days, and we're coming into that area, the neckline area where we just rejected a few seconds ago, but we're looking for the yesterday's high, and that's at 50.90, 51.06, 75 I meant, for a possible rejection if we do push all the way up there, or that's a target if I'm still long. And that's it really. I don't really want to overtrade. I overtraded yesterday. Did okay in the morning. So in the morning I took a short at the top and pulled it all the way down. I think I was out on this pivot there. Decent trade, although I made a few keyboard errors afterwards, and I was waiting for the break and retest of this hit. In fact, I was out at the bottom there actually, not all the way down. But as it came back down, up to kind of broke this neckline, I was out of the neckline. When it came down, pulled back up, I tried to find an entry and I stopped a few times. Should have just walked away because I was up, and then I tried a few other shorts, and then I kind of went into, I wouldn't say a meltdown mode, but I kind of just overtraded, trying to find scalps just for 10 ticks here and there, and I was scalping against the trend and then with the trend against the trend, and I ended up getting close to I ended the day break even, probably minus commissions, probably at a small loss, but the point is I only wanted to make one trade yesterday, and I made that one trade, and I should have just walked, but I didn't. I wanted more. I got greedy, so I've got to try and combat my greed and my hunger to keep trading even when I don't need to. So what should have been one trade yesterday, which was a good trade, a brilliant trade, was actually 10 trades in the end. That's over trading, and I'm going to try and avoid that today. Well, we're going to avoid that. I'm just going to look for an A+ setup. I know I took that pre-market trend continuation on the 5-minute, but I'm really looking for A+ setups, and the A+ setups for me today is along around this area, bottom of this channel, or break and retest if we break out through this channel. They're my two A+ trades I'm looking for. So that's one or the other is what I want to go for today. Okay, let's look at SPY. Very similar. If we can hold pre-market lows, which is also yesterday's low, then we can look for a bounce. This area here, which is at 505. And then if we break over the pre-market high, we can look for a continuation of the uptrend with a possible target at the top of yesterday's high, which is that head and shoulders pattern. And then also we've got all-time highs for potential rejection. SPX. Second. Looking at SPX next. Key level is this pivot still similar to MES. So if we get down to 50, 45, 50, 46, I'll be looking for a bounce on the ES. So hopefully if they come in at the same time, then that would be even a stronger bounce. And then probably the only place we can break over yesterday's low for a break and retest and to break this small hourly downtrend. Nasdaq. I'm seeing, I don't know if anyone else is, but I'm seeing this bear flag setting up. So pushing up, broken that pivot, and then we've got kind of this pattern, or this pattern. Either valid. Pre-market high, break and retest looks good. Or better still, yesterday's high, that pivot will play it safe. Break above, push up. Or if we break down below this double bottom, pre-market low area, 17,920, then we've got this kind of void below. A little bit of junk around this area, a little bit of volume as well. But we've got 200 moving average right on the point of control as well. And so potential target, 1780. 17,840. Yep, quite like that. I'll keep an eye on that one. Qs, pretty much the same. If we can hold 435.60, then we can look for a bounce. Otherwise, we've got this channel setting up. We're in the upper half of this channel right now, and normally I see if rather than just going down like that, if I see, let's go back one more, if I see it doing something like this, then it looks like a breakout is more likely. So break above the pre-market high, yesterday's high, these areas here, and we can probably get rid of the trend lines, so they're probably invalid now. And you've got the head and shoulders, left and right shoulders, one target, and then all-time highs, second target. Probably most likely that this area here, which is 439. Let's look at oil next, CL. This is the oil futures. You can see it's starting to curve over. 200 moving average is also starting to level out and curve around. The 50's already started, so potentially we can watch for a rejection around 78.50, and then we've got 79 area for rejection. And if we see strength, then we need to break through this area to continue this uptrend. Otherwise, we've got a bounce area down here around 76.30, 76.50, and what I'm looking at is confluence, higher volume as well. So we've got tops and bottoms, bottoms of candles, tops, major top there, we saw a big reaction last time I was there. Pretty much a big reaction there. Come back down, we kind of try to hold it. We definitely held it there. Broke below, but was back up above it again. So that area seems to be an area to hold. So probably this entire area we can watch for a bounce. And obviously if it breaks it, then it's looking pretty weak. Okay, gold. Couldn't break that high. But we can continue this hourly uptrend. So pre-market high, break and retest, 2048 to 2050. First target, 2053. If we can't hold it, I suppose you could watch 2061 for the next target. If we can't hold it, then we've got to watch the break below. I don't like the pre-market low. It's got to be yesterday's low. That's a big move down if we get down there. But we've also got the 200 moving average coming in, so I don't really like a short. And we've been in this relatively strongish uptrend, other than this bit of a flag which we broke out of. We retested that area as well, so we came in, retested that area, and we could probably look to push up. So break and retest a pre-market high is the only one I can see on gold. And then the RTY, which is the Russell 2000, looking like a strong uptrend. You can see that quite clearly. I can only see a rejection up at this area, 2070 area for a rejection, or pull back into yesterday's high for a bounce, 2040 down to 2036. That's all I can see. 2036 is an area where we kind of held it before we broke down, kind of tested that area, tested it again, broke through it, kind of hovered around it, broke it, retested it and pushed out. So I quite like this area again, 2035 for a bounce. The YM, which is the Dow Jones, again we're putting in this kind of flag pattern. Well, we're going to break this double bottom, or we're going to break out through pre-market high. So pre-market high, break and retest, or pre-market low, which is also yesterday's low, also a break and retest. They're the only two trades I can see on. Let's look at Bitcoin, which is like a rocket at the moment. Look at that on the daily. So broken the trend line, that's overnight. Kind of did honour it, but that's the trend line start there. It kind of held it, honoured the trend line there, but then it's just too strong. It kind of tried to do something there, so we can use that as a break and retest long area. And let's look at possible daily targets. We've got that area still in 60,000, 58,900, 60,000 psychological number. Next target. Bit more volume picking up down here. We had a bit of volume here for this initial push, and kind of average. It's about average volume, like you expect to see when it's trailing up. There's no higher or below average volume, just plodding away. Yesterday was a big day. Today, let's put a bit more volume in. So. Yeah, not bad. If you're long, I got long around about March last year, around about here I think it was, and every month I've just added a little tiny bit every month. And so my average price, even while it's on its way up, I added when it pulled back, added there, added when it came back in, just monthly. It's part of one of my credit cards I use. So my average price, I think I'm up about 70% on it, 77, 78, 80%. My average price is around here. And I added on that little pullback as well. Just happened to be the monthly time I added. But I'm not adding just yet. I want to see a bit of a pullback into these areas, and I might add again. But this is only literally pocket change, not much. I wish it was. Obviously, with hindsight, I wish I put more into it, but there's not much you can do really. hindsight's a great thing. Okay, that's it really. Let's go back to MES, see if there's been any changes. Nope, nothing really. Bottom tail on the hourly, another bottom tail. I still quite like the break and retest of the pre-market high at 58, 50, 90 area. And if we can pull back into yesterday's low, I quite like to pull back to yesterday's low or the pre-market low for another double bottom. They're the areas watch for a bounce, and obviously we've got this pivot and this pivot, which is this area of demand, 50-60 to 50-70 area for potential bounce, and it also happens to be the bottom of this trend, this downward channel as well. So if we come down to there, we can look for a buy or bounce area. Don't forget we are still above the hourly 200 moving average, kind of just about below the 50 moving average. We're above the 20 right now. So until we break down below the 200, you've got to be more biased for the long side. And this is just a bit of a nice pullback. It's a nice, lovely, looks like a nice bull flag pullback. And we'll soon see. This is the key area. If it can break, if it can hold that, then we might see some continuation. If we break down below this key area, then we could see it retest the bottom of this trend line, or maybe potentially we could put another trend line in. Let's draw that now. Linking those two together. We could see it come back down into this area around the 5,000 area. Okay, thank you for watching. If this video was of value to you, please hit the like button, and I will hopefully be back later to recap my trading day. And if not, I'll see you tomorrow live at 9 AM Eastern time. Okay, trade safe.